All right, let's go over Theta's training so that way we can stay consistent at home. Whenever she's doing behaviors that we want to keep seeing, whether that's listening to our commands or just showing us calm behaviors we want to keep seeing, we're going to reward that behavior with praise, petting, and treats. And then when she's doing things that we don't want to see, whether that's jumping up on us or not following our commands, we're going to follow through with our training equipment to decrease those unwanted behaviors that we don't want to keep seeing. So let's go over Theta's training equipment. This is her prong collar. She's going to wear this whenever she is on a leash. So anytime we take her out on a walk or anytime we're going to take her out and put her on a leash, she should be wearing her prong collar. How we take this on and off is we're just going to secure one of the links and push through like so. To put it back together, we're going to pinch the prong and put it through the holes of the other prong like so. And then how we use this, whenever we put it on her, the leash is going to attach to the D-ring that swivels. And then how we use it, say she's in the heel position. Heel just means walk next to me on that nice loose leash. So say she starts to pull ahead. We're going to say no, marking the incorrect behavior we don't want to see, a pop of the leash, and then we remind her the command that she's doing. So no, pop, heel. And that's going to be how it works with every single command. And then whenever she is back to where we want her, we can give her that verbal praise, petting, and treats so that we reinforce the behavior that we want to keep seeing. Now let's go over her remote collar. How we turn this on and off, red dot on the collar, red dot on the remote. We're going to touch these together. It's a magnetic key, so this turns on the collar. That green flashing light means it's on, charged, and ready to go. On and off button on the back of the remote, we're going to push and hold until the screen lights up. You're going to see level 20 appear on the screen. This is Theta's working level. And then we're going to focus on the black S button. S just stands for stimulation, so it's kind of like an electric muscle stimulator. So how we use this, say she's in that heel position again. She starts to pull ahead or she's going off to the side. We're going to say no, marking that incorrect behavior we don't want to see. Black S button, heel. So no, button, heel. And then depending on whatever she is distracted by or how distracted she is, we may use one of these, we may use both of these. It depends on the situation that we are in. With this, we're going to use this sometimes in the house, but definitely when we take her out on walks and she is out on a leash. In the beginning, showing her commands in the house like place and down or any of those, we want to make sure we have the leash and prong on her. So if we do have to guide her into a different scenario, we can, and we have a way to communicate with her and show her what we expect of her. And then we can slowly fade away from needing the prong and the leash on in the house. And then we can just rely on having the remote on in the house. And then she will also wear this first thing in the morning, and then it's going to be the last thing that we take off at night. So we always have a form of communication with Theta throughout the day. So now that we've gone over her training equipment, now let's dive into her commands. We've already gone over the heel just a little bit. So heel is that nice loose leash walking. Whenever she is in this position, we want to make sure she's right next to us. So we start rewarding her exactly where we want her. And then whenever we're out on walks, we can give her that free command for about 10 to 20% of the walk so that she can go experience and have fun on the walk. But 80 to 90% of the walk, we should do it in the heel position so that we both can enjoy the walk and she's not stopping to sniff every 10 seconds. Then we have sit. Sit means stay is implied until she's given that release word free. So this is really good for those door manners. Whether we're inside or outside, we're going to have Theta sit at doors so we can start creating the thing where she doesn't run through doors anymore. So whenever we approach a door, whether it's inside or outside, we're going to ask her to sit. As we're opening the door, we're going to remind her to sit because opening the door is a pretty big distraction. If she stays, great. If not, we're going to follow through with the training equipment and do it until she gets it right so we can set those same firm boundaries at home that we have here at the facility. And then we have two options. When she sits and stays, we can either free her through the door or heel through the door with her. It just depends on the situation that we are in. Now we have down. Down also means stay is implied until she's given the release word free. So whenever we're practicing down, we're never going to release her from a distance. So we're never going to walk 10 feet away from her and then tell her free because then she's going to get rewarded for coming to us and not staying in that down stay. So in order to make sure that down stay is nice and good, we're going to go back to her, treat her where she's at, give her the reward, and then we can free her from wherever she's in that down position. And then when we reward this, we're going to reward low to the ground so she knows that positive zone is going to be low to the ground and she doesn't try to get up for treats. Now we have place. Place is a boundary stay, ideally on an elevated bed. This one's really good for if we're having company come over or if we just want to eat dinner and we don't want Theta underneath of our feet while we're trying to cook in the kitchen. So whenever we're doing whatever we're doing, we can go put her on place, do our little distraction, just like with down. We're not going to release her from a distance because then she'll get rewarded for coming to us. So whenever we're done with whatever we're doing, we're going to go back to where she is, release her from where she's at. And when we reward, we're going to reward on the place bed so she knows that positive zone is the mat that she is on. And then with this, I would also suggest having the leash and prong on her until she gets pretty sound with this command inside the house. So Once you have company come over for the first time, I'd also put the leash and prong back on her, but once she gets the hang of it, we can start fading away from needing the leash and the prong on, and she'll just have the remote collar on. Now we have come when called. With this one, we like to let her get distracted and do her own thing, because ideally when we need her to come back to us, it's probably going to be when she's in that distracted state of mind doing her own thing, getting distracted. So we'll give her that release word free, let her get distracted. Whenever we practice this, we'll have her on a 30 to 50 foot leash, so if she does get extra distracted by anything that's out there, we have a way to reel her back in like a fish if we need to. So we tell her free, let her get distracted. She's doing her own thing. When we call her to us, we're going to say it in a nice, loud, firm tone. We're going to say, come. And then as she's coming to us, we are going to praise her and tell her that she's doing a good job by coming into our space. When she gets there, we can tell her to sit, and then we give her the reward. The reason we have her sit is so that she doesn't come into our space, take the reward, and then run back off. Sit means stay until we tell her it's time to go back out there. With this, we want to make sure that every time we call her to us, we let her come into our space and reward her. So that way she never learns that come doesn't mean that she always has to come into our space. So if we tell her, we ask her to come and she ignores us, we're going to say no, following through with the training equipment, and then we're going to call her again, and then we're going to go right back into the praising, and then we're still going to reward her when she gets into our space, because we are always going to be a positive. Now we have leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that. When you first practice this, I would start out with dog safe foods. You'll drop it on the ground, say leave it. If she doesn't, follow through with the training equipment. And if she does, you can tell her free and let her pick it up off the floor. If you never want her to grab stuff off the floor, you don't have to give her that release word free and let her grab it. Whenever you first practice this, I would suggest having the leash and prong on just so we can guide her into different scenarios if we need to. So that is all of Theta's commands. So we're going to reinforce and reward behaviors that we want to keep seeing, whether that's calm behaviors or just following our commands. And then whenever we want to decrease unwanted behaviors, we're going to follow through with the training equipment, just like if she jumps up on us or she doesn't listen to our commands. So that is everything. We're going to watch Theta do all of her commands. We're going to have fun, stay consistent, and here she is.
Hello.
Hi. Sit. Good girl. Sit. Good. Sit. Heel. 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 Sit. Down. Good girl. Down. Good. Down. Down. Good. Down. Oh, you're fine. Good. Down. Good. Good. Down. Down. Free. Good girl. Let's go over the other features of the remote. We've already gone over how to turn it on. Now let's go over how to turn it off. It is going to be the same concept as turning it on. These red dots on both the remote and collar. Touch them together. This solely turns off the collar, how we turn off the remote. On and off button on the back, we're going to push and hold until the screen goes blank. And then we're going to turn it back on, and I'm going to go over the other buttons on the remote. So on this side, we've already gone over the black S button. That's going to be the number you see on the screen. This red S button is a boost feature, so you see level 20 is on the screen now. If I tap this red S button, it's going to jump to 40. This is a boost feature that we use for whenever Theta is going to be doing something dangerous, like chasing a car or something that's going to cause her harm. It is a way to communicate with her whenever she is in an adrenaline state of mind, in that high drive state of mind, so that way we can still communicate with her in a fast way. So say she's running after a car, we can use that red S button, because whenever she is just hanging out with us, she is right here. Whenever she's chasing a car or doing something dangerous, she is up here. So we have a way to match her level, so that way we can still communicate with her when she's doing things that may cause her harm. On the other side of the button, we have a T button. This is a vibrate feature. We like to use this to make sure that the collar is on and ready to go. You can use this whenever she is further in her training and she doesn't need stimulation, but she's kind of pushing the boundaries, and you just want to give her a quick reminder of, hey, whatever you're doing, we don't want to see, so you can just tap that button. On the back of the remote, we have an M/C button. This stands for momentary or continuous. At the beginning of Theta's training, we started out at a very low level on continuous, so we can introduce the remote in a positive way. And then whenever she gets further into the training, we switched over to momentary at a little bit of a higher level, and she should stay on momentary for the rest of her training. So momentary just means that however long you tap this, it is only going to stimulate her for that 1 second. Then on the back, the on and off button also works as a flashlight. So if we press it once, it's going to be a flashing flashlight. Press it that second time, solid flashlight. Third time, it's going to turn the flashlight off. Then you say level 20 isn't working for you. With Theta, whenever there's not a lot of distractions going on, level 20 works. But whenever bigger distractions happen, whether that's we're practicing recall and there's a lot going on, or we're in a store, level 25 usually works for her. So say we need to change it because we're going to go out into a store and we know she's going to be a little bit excited and we want to still be able to communicate with her. We're going to hold down on this dial, and then we're going to rotate it to whatever number we want. Once that 1D is flashing, we can rotate it to whatever number we want. But level 20 has been working for her with the least amount of distraction, so I'm just going to lock that in place. How we do that is we're just going to hold down on the dial again until the 1D at the top of the screen stops flashing. So depending on the level of distraction and what is going on, you may have to adjust her number to fit whatever scenario we are in. Level 20 works for most of the time, but when there's more distractions, she may need level 25. And then with that red S button, it is going to add 20 levels to whatever level you see on the screen. So if you put level 25, it's going to boost it to level 45. Then in the box, we have the collar's charging. It comes with 2 ports, so we can charge both the remote and collar together. The charging on the remote is right underneath the on and off button. For the collar, it is right underneath of the prongs. It stays charged for about 2 days if she wears it for 12 to 14-hour days. So if you charge it every other day, you should be fine. This will also blink orange and red to let you know whenever it's getting lower on life, so that way you know when to charge it. Then in the box, I did switch Theta over to the longer prongs just because she has that thick hair to get through. If you notice that she doesn't need the long prong and they make good contact, you can switch her over to the little prongs, but right now she does have the longer prongs on her remote collar. At the bottom of the box, there is a manual, so if you have any questions about anything else to go over on the remote, like the T button is a vibrate feature, but you can also switch it over to a tone feature if that is something that you prefer. All of that is gone over in the manual. On the edge of the box, there is a company to get in contact with if you have any problems with the remote or collar. It has a 2-year warranty, so if there's any issues, you can contact the company and hopefully get something sorted out. Both the remote and collar are waterproof, so it's not a big deal if they get wet, but if she's going to stay wet for an extended period of time, I would rotate the collar on her neck so it doesn't rub too much on one part of her neck and cause a rash or an irritation. But other than that, that is all of the other features of the remote. If you have any other questions about any of the other features, the manual does go over everything. So that is everything. So we're going to have fun and stay consistent.